Ja, så Denne, da var vi i gang nok en gang.
Yes, det er vi. Og i dag synes jeg det er et ekstra spennende tema, og det er sjelden at jeg er nervøs, men det er en grunn til at jeg er litt nervøs i dag.
Ja, vi skal komme tilbake igjen til det, men i dag så er temaet musikk og healing.
Ja.
Og vi har vel kanskje alltid, eller alle, følt at musikk kan gjøre noe fysisk på kroppen, at du får for eksempel gåsehud eller et eller annet sånt.
Ja, det er litt hva stemning du er i og hva du trenger. Jeg tror mange søker til musikk hvis de for eksempel er lei seg, eller de trenger å bli gira opp til noe. Så tror jeg veldig mange bruker det som et verktøy uten at de tenker at det har noe spesielt healende effekt, men at det snakker til deg da.
Ja, og i dag skal vi faktisk få besøk av en som bruker musikk som helbredelse da.
Det er kjempekult.
Ja.
Og jeg føler jeg lærer noe nytt hver eneste dag nå, altså. Så at det var musikere som hadde dette som spesialfelt, det var jeg ikke klar over før jeg da fikk vite om denne personen.
Ja, veldig kult. Så tilbake igjen til hvorfor du var nervøs, for dette er første intervjuet vi gjør på English.
Vet du hva, ja. Og i utgangspunktet så burde jeg jo være komfortabel med å snakke engelsk, for jeg har snakket engelsk mye i mitt liv, men det har blitt mange år nå hvor jeg ikke har snakket det. Så jeg kjenner pulsen er litt sånn gange 10, fordi jeg er redd for at jeg ikke skal gjøre meg forstått. Og så er jeg redd for at ikke min personlighet egentlig kommer fram på engelsk, at jeg blir litt sånn nervøse og stokket i formuleringen, men det får bare være, tenker jeg.
Ja. Men ok, jeg tenker vi går videre. Dagens gjest er Barry Goldstein. Han er musiker og har en lidenskap for å bruke musikk, eller så han kaller det da, det universelle kjærlighetsspråket. Og dette kjærlighetsspråket det bruker han som et slags kjøretøy for transformasjon, som han selv kaller det. Som utøver så har Barry berørt publikum med musikk fra den kritiske og anerkjente serien Ambiology. Og han har også et inspirerende album som han kaller The Moment og Shine. Han har også komponert og produsert musikk for New York Times bestselgende forfattere, Dr. Daniel Amen, med andre. Og han har også komposert livemusikk for Doreen Virtue, blant annet. Han har også vunnet en Emmy-pris for musikken sin. Men Barry sin musikk som går på healing da, blir brukt på sykehus, hospitser, kreftsentre, medisinske praksiser. Og Barry er en kjent foredragsholder i USA, hvor han holder foredrag på medisinske konferanser, og er en ettertraktet foredragsholder for The New Thought-konferansene. Og dette er en serie med konferanser som presenterer gjerne banebrytende forskning på hvordan musikk blir brukt for medisinske tilstander. Helt til sist, i 2019 så ble et team av forskere fra flere store universiteter i USA, de samlet seg og ønsket å studere Barry sin musikk videre for å se om de kunne bevise at det hadde helsemessige fordeler. So, without further ado, a very warm welcome to you, Barry Goldstein.
Well, thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to talk both to you today about music, sound, vibration, and all of the above.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it as well, and yeah, it will be a new experience for us doing this in English, so we're a little bit nervous.
That's okay. I mean, it's all about moving into new territory, so I'm glad I can assist you with that.
Yeah, that's nice.
Perfect. Yeah.
All right. So actually, the background for why we wanted you on the show is that sometimes you hear a song that makes you happy or makes your goosebump or anything, and we were tipped about you and your music, and someone said you have to talk to Barry, so then here we are.
Perfect. Yeah, I mean, that ultimately as a composer is the place you always want to take people, to a place where they're experiencing something profound and something emotional, for music. Otherwise, what good is music if it can't allow us to take some type of journey? So I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you get inspired for writing your music, do you have any like a mantra or like a life statement you live by?
Well, for me, it's more about getting into that state of connection before I start. And really, you see my environment here is kind of like my creative environment. But as well as doing that, I like to connect to something beyond myself and invite it in with me to the state of creation. And I call these divine collaborations. And it's really just, closing my eyes, going inward, and inviting the divine to create with me and step into that invitation with me. And of course, when you request that sacredness and you ask the divine to create with you, I have never gotten a no. So it's always a beautiful collaboration. And that's really how I start most of my creations, is with sound and something that inspires me, and then creating that invitation to co-create.
Wow.
Oh, that's nice.
You say that music can heal and lead to personal transformation. How did you even get involved with music and discover its healing effects?
That's a great question. I mean, for me, I was literally my own experiment. So I wasn't always doing this type of music. I was a native New Yorker and a record producer in New York for many years. And the love of music started to kind of disappear as it became more of a job, and I had to deliver on a weekly basis, very similar to other people's deadlines and commitments. I was spending about 40 to 100 hours to create a 4-minute song. And I reached a state of burnout and really wanted to reconnect with what inspired me as a younger child, and just kind of be that kid sitting on the edge of a bed and playing music and being affected and inspired by music. So I decided to do the opposite of what I was doing. So instead of moving into this very strategic compositional state, what would happen if I just let the music move through me and really surrender to whatever it was that would come in to create with me? And I set my metronome to 60 beats per minute because I knew that that was the tempo of my heart at a relaxed state. And I was targeting that reconnection of the heart. And I started taking these hour-long journeys really for myself to move through my own anxiety, to move through my own stresses. And what I found was that I was moving to these very still and meditative states in the compositional process. And I really didn't think that anyone would listen to these pieces of music because, again, it was the opposite of what I had been creating. There was no chorus. There was nothing to sing along to. There was not a lot of repetitive melodies, a lot of long, tranquil tones. And I was encouraged by several friends and a massage therapist to share this in the world. And so I started gradually sharing them, and we started getting these amazing testimonials of people who are utilizing them, from everything from going to the dentist's office to using them for sleep at night. I had a friend whose mom used it to assist with managing agitated behaviors and dementia. So this really kind of created a curiosity for me of why these pieces were working. And that led to me researching a lot more the mechanisms of why that music was working. And that led to me writing a book called The Secret Language of the Heart, which documents over 50 studies of how music's being used medically as well. So it started as my own experiment and rippled out to others in a way that was very unexpected.
Yeah,
Wow.
absolutely. Yeah.
So, can you explain it? Is it like you kind of fill in the blanks between the notes, like in the beats? Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah, well, very often it is about the space between the notes, and you're absolutely right. So it gives the listener to space to integrate the notes as they're played. And when they're longer, in a way, it does. We do fill in the blanks because we kind of predict harmonics or next notes. But as well, it gives us leadway to not think about the melody as much. So when ambient music is being played, it doesn't necessarily have to just be listened to in headphones. It's really effective if you just put it on and let it play in the environment and use it as similarly to how you would use a candle. When you light a candle in a room, you don't sit there and stare at the candle and say, oh, this light is going to, make me feel a certain way, right? You just kind of recognize that it's creating a sense of beauty and ambiance. And that's what that specific series that I created, I named Ambiology because that stood for me for ambiance, ambi, which is a place of beauty and serenity. And the place that has, and the effect that has on our biology or our physical body when we let ambiance in. So yeah, it becomes interpretive for the listener as well. And once you have an anchor to an experience musically, it really is much easier to come back to that state. So if you feel relaxed and if you feel like you've released stress, or if you use it for sleep, and it's effective for you, one evening is all you need, because then you're like, wow, that was so helpful. I'm going to use it again. And then when you do that, we have autobiographical memories that are created with music in our brain, and we anchor on to specific types of music and their uses. So all you really need is one experience and for that to have a healing or profound effect on you, and then you just come back to that state when you listen to it.
I can really relate to that, because a lot of my friends, including my family, they love this high energy music, and they're just dancing around, talking with that loud music in the background. And I get a little bit stressed by that. But I listen to one of your songs and I just, this one I can really relate to, because I kind of feel that if it's too noisy around me, I can't be focused inside. But with your music, I'm able to do that. So I think it's,
Actually, and it really depends. It's utilizing music as a bridge is really what creates the transformation and the healing. So it's not about one size fits all, because if you have a high energy meeting in the morning and you might not want to listen to relaxing music, you might want to tap into that more inspiring, uplifting music. So I'm always asking myself the question, where am I now? Where do I want to go? And then what piece of music will take me there? Because my background is in many different genres. I co-produced a Grammy award-winning track for Best Rock Instrumental in 2005, and it's very different than what I'm doing. But I've also composed for Dr. Joe Dispenza, like his walking meditations and his breathing music are very, very up and geared towards activating energy as opposed to relaxing in it. So music to be healing doesn't necessarily always have to be relaxing. It's really about altering your state and targeting specific states of where you want to go. So when you start with that intention and you know where you want to go, then music is the perfect bridge to take us there, because it's so quick. You can read a book and take 3 hours, or you can listen to a piece of music that's going to move you and get there in 5 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. So I listened to the one of the ones you had with the reduced anxiety. But how do you do it? Like, how can you use music to tune into those specific things, like mood or sleep or anxiety, as one of your tunes are?
Well, yeah, it's multifaceted, so it's not really just one thing. But again, it does start with intention for me. So if I'm doing a piece of music to relieve anxiety, I don't want to be in an anxious state while I'm composing it. So it's first about becoming the vibration that you're seeking. So first of all, is putting myself in that state of being an open vessel and being clear and being in a stress-free and anxiety-free state. So that's connecting to that energy first. And then, where the science meets that, where science meets spirituality and where ancient meets modern, there's this bridge, because this is nothing new. We've been using music and sound for thousands and thousands of years. So it's, for me, I also target specific states by moving my heart to a more relaxed state. So again, targeting that state of about between 60 and 70 beats per minute is where our heart is at a relaxed state. And we have the ability to entrain. So when we entrain or synchronize our internal metronome, which is our heart that keeps the time in our physical body, has the ability to adapt to external tempos, which are in music. So when we're moving that down to 60 beats per minute, which a lot of classical music was at that rate naturally as well, or specific types of reggae music are at 60 beats per minute, which we know are very relaxing. Our heart has the ability to adapt. Our breathing slows down. And when our breathing slows down, we move into what's called the parasympathetic state, where our body is no longer having to run from the bear, so to speak, right, and have a lot of stress, we can move to these more healing states. And when our heart is in a coherent state, it moves our brain waves also to a more coherent state. So when we're relaxed at that tempo, we're also producing now more alpha brain waves. And so we move out of mind chatter, which a lot of times is when we're in that anxious state, we're in a story that's going on in our mind, or we're trying to predict an outcome before it happens. That makes us anxious. But if we can move into that more beautiful state and just be with the music, allow ourselves to surrender to it and just be in the moment, we can move out of those anxious states which create anxiety.
I can really relate to what he's saying, but I'm using my mind and the powers from my hands, but you're just using another tool, and it's available for everybody. So I think it's quite amazing what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it is, I call them sound tools. And again, it's really about creating a program with it. I mean, most of us are like, music, we all know about that. But it's really, are you using music to navigate your energy? Because that's really where it comes in. We all only have so much energy that we can utilize in our day. And many of us allow our days to snowball, in directions we don't want them to go, where someone says, how was your day? And you're like, it was like one of those days. Or it can be, wow, it was like one of those days where like everything was aligned and everything just flowed perfectly. Well, how does that occur? Is through awareness. So if something in your day happens where you're challenged and you're finding yourself spending a lot of energy in a situation that triggered you, or it did something to you where you feel like you gave a lot of your energy away. If you could just stop and ask yourself, wow, I need to get back on course. What can do this for me? And a lot of times I'll plug a piece of music into my day and allows me to come back to my own unique vibration. So, for instance, like a 5-minute musical vacation during my lunchtime, like I'll listen to a piece of music from another part of the world because I'm in this room a lot. And it's like I just want to kind of feel like I'm in someplace different, and I'll close my eyes and listen to a piece of music from the Orient, or a piece of music from South America. And I'll just close my eyes and picture that I'm there and smelling the smells and eating the foods and allowing myself to take this 5-minute vacation. And when I come back, I'm refreshed. And all it took was 5 minutes. Music can do that. It could transport you from your environment and take you to someplace completely different. And before you go on to spend more energy, you can renew yourself. So anytime you're going off off of your own energy where your intention started in that day, you can use music to kind of reel you back in, and it could be your anchor for your day.
Oh, that's nice. I got quite fascinated by one of the titles on your album. It's called The Brain Never Stops Listening.
Yes.
Yeah. So I thought, is there any recommended amount of music you should listen to every day? Like, can you overdose?
Can you overdose?
Yeah, I mean,
that's a good question.
I think it's like, if you look at music like medicine, its dosage can be important, right? So you're not gonna start off taking a prescription drug necessarily in its full dosage. You're going to start with small increments until you can make sure that it's having the benefit that you want from it. So I think it's the same thing with music, is in small dosage, especially when you're using it for transformational or healing aspects to it. There are several criteria that are important with that dosage too. It's how loud you're going to listen to it, because if you're listening to music too loudly over a longer period of time, it might have a negative effect on you, and you start to, instead of getting rejuvenated by it, you feel like you're getting burnout and you need a break. So start in small increments, and if you listen to your body. How does your body feel when you're listening to it? And I always think of health as a 4-body system. So not just your physical body, when I say body, but your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual body. How does it feel when you're listening to a piece of music? If it feels expansive, like you're standing on top of a mountain and you're under a beautiful night sky, then that's a great place, right? And you continue your listening. But if you're feeling contracted, like a piece of music doesn't agree with you, almost like you're allergic to that piece of music, and it makes you feel like you want to contract or, move inward to protect your heart, then that piece of music might not be right for you. Just like foods, someone might say, hey, broccoli's great for you, Eric, but if you're allergic to broccoli, it's not great for you, right? So
good point.
I think I am.
I think I am. No, I'm not.
So yeah, just like food can create inflammation in our body if we don't know what foods work for us, so could music. And this brings about a very interesting conversation. People ask me, like, how can music be healing? How can music heal? And this goes back to when I started, doing this, because I grew up in New York City, and I was from the Bronx, which was a very kind of tough neighborhood, and I would have probably been the guy making fun of me now. If I would have looked at myself 20 or 30 years ago, I would have probably made fun of what I'm talking about, because that's just how I grew up. So when a lot of my friends said, like, dude, how can music be healing? Come on. And I think really the best way to explain that is that most of us, when we think of the term healing, we're thinking about the physical body, most of us. And healing can occur on so many different levels, in the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And if you redefine what healing really is, isn't healing really when we can move through a block of some kind and transform energy so that we're in a better state than when we were before it, right?
Yes.
So if you look at it that way, then how many of us have had healings where we listened to a piece of music and you were able to move through an emotion that you've been holding, through whether it's grief, through, listening through a song of a loved one that's passed, or just a piece of music that makes you feel happy, like a happy song. And we define that as just moving through a block of some kind, then music takes on a whole new definition of what healing can be. And ultimately, that's where I want to go when I'm listening to a piece of music. I want to upgrade my vibration. So if I was here when I started, I want to be up here. If I was tense and I wanted to be more relaxed, then I asked myself, was that successful, that piece of music? So it's really just like fine-tuning your awareness of what music even is, because I think of music beyond just like the art form that you listen to on the radio or Spotify or whatever it is, however you listen to music. But I think of music that's of something that's happening within us as well. So your heartbeat, your breath, your sigh when you're breathing out. This is all music to me. So if you really want to fine tune how you listen to music on a daily basis, start your day by listening to your own heartbeat and your own breath. This is our internal symphony. And when you can form an appreciation and find the music in what's going on in your body, then the way you listen to music is just amplified tenfold. When you actually listen to a piece of music after that, you have a whole new appreciation of it.
We will listen to music afterwards now. Yeah. But can I ask you, when was your turning point in a way? Because you said that you were working with music, you did very good, but it kind of drained you in a way after a while. And then here you are now and really in tune with the music again and finding these amazing elements who can heal yourself and other people. So what happened to come here you are now?
Yeah, I mean, so when I had that, when I was that experiment, that I talked about, that was kind of an aha moment for me. And when we received that Grammy in 2005, I really kind of asked myself the question. I said, okay, do I want to stay in the traditional music business? Or do I want to go in this other area? Because it was like a fork in the road in that time, because I was already doing this type of music, but I was still, still doing pop music as well. And I still do, I still love producing pop music and music for film. So what I realized was that I was labeling what I was doing. So I was labeling, okay, well, on this side is my spiritual music, and on this side is my, commercial or pop music. And what I realized was that you can't serve two masters. And when I had this aha moment of, well, isn't really all the music I'm doing spiritual? Like, why would I just label this side spiritual and this side not? Like, can't I use the same process of creating pop music as I do this, spiritual music? And the answer was yes. So it was like, whatever I do now is spiritual music. It's just, it might have different flavors, different genres. One might have, big rhythms and beats, and the other one might be really serene. But it was when I tore down that wall and realized that I'm only serving one master, and that is God or spirit or the divine, whatever you'd like to call it, then everything went into that melting pot, right? I had all the ingredients, but I wasn't putting all of them into the recipe. And that was a turning point for me where I realized, okay, well, this is going to be, we call a spicy gumbo now, because I get to use everything I've learned and put it into everything, all the experiences.
So inspiring. And I can really relate to a lot of it.
Absolutely. You mentioned spirituality here. And what is your relationship with spirituality, or what is spirituality for you?
Well, music is a big part of my spiritual practice, so anything where you can go on autopilot and connect to that spirit is going to be a great vehicle for you. So for some people, it's taking a walk in nature, which is great for me as well, because it's the sounds that God created, and we get to connect to that. And so when we're connecting to that energy of creator, how can we not be creative when you're looking at a flower or listening to birds or whatever else? So that's a great practice for me, listening to the music of nature. But in general, when I'm in that process of creativity, and I'm inviting the creator in, how could you not be involved in a spiritual process with that? So that's my go-to, is that if I can create something from nothing every day, whether it's music or even smiling, for the my server at a restaurant, right? You're creating a moment for them by smiling, and you're upgrading someone else's day or their vibration. So the more that you can stay, or for me anyway, the more I can stay in the state of creation, and that collaboration, the more I'm connected spiritually. And so it's not just a spiritual practice. It's like, what happens in your day to take you out of the spiritual practice? It's more about, okay, not what's taking me into the practice, what's taking me out. Because now I try to stay in that connected state as much as I possibly can. It's not about, okay, let me go to church on Sundays, or let me pray once or twice during the day. How much can I stay connected to that? Because that's where all the great stuff happens, when you're connected to that unlimited field of all creations. You're not only creating music, you're creating opportunities and synchronies, right? Like this interview, it just happened. I don't know you guys. You don't know me, but somehow the universe kind of said, oh, maybe that will be a harmony there, and other people will find value in this. So we created this whole other vibration of you two and me that ripples out to other people. So it's about staying in that state. It's not about just, random glimpses of it for me.
We were manifesting it. We need Barry in our lives.
Yeah.
So please come to us.
Or I need you guys. Maybe I need to. Maybe I need to visit you and do a concert out there.
Yeah, that would be
absolutely.
so
Who knows?
nice. But do you ever? You probably say no, but I need to ask anyway. Do you for some reason sometimes take time off from music?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, it drives my wife crazy because, I get off at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
I'm done, and
Quiet.
it's and we'll take a drive or go grab something to eat, and she's cranking, Earth, Wind and Fire and Motown, and I'm like, honey, just can you make it a little bit lower? And
Yes, I love this guy.
and I'm like, I just listen to music all day. And she goes, I know, but now I'm done with work. And I need to listen to some music. So, it's about finding balance. But, quiet and silence is part of appreciating music as well, because that contrast of listening and not listening, is what keeps you fresh.
The reason why I asked is because we were discussing it in another episode of our podcast, that I'm into the spirit world the whole day. So I often need time off. So when we are at the cabin or something, there's nothing, no meditation, no going deep inside. I just need a break from everything, because it's such much focus during the day. So people often can't relate to that. What? Aren't you like meditating when you're on vacation, or just being in contact with the Mother Earth or whatever? But I think we need time off. Like you said, balance. So it was, I was happy I asked you that question.
Yeah. And then, there's another saying that we plan and God laughs. Right? So you're planning for that quiet. Right. And then you go out and, someone at a restaurant, you're looking at them, or you're at the bank depositing a check, and you start getting a message for that person. Right. And
Yes.
Well, I thought I was off duty. Well, you're off duty when God says you're off duty, pretty much.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. So, is there any chance we can have some tones from you today? Is there any creativity you want to share with us?
Please.
Sure. So normally, what I do with that is just allow a piece of music to come through, whatever that may be, for the with the intention that it benefit whoever's listening to it, whether it's later on or they're revisiting it. So what I'll do is I'll just take a minute to kind of get myself in the space. So there might be a silence for a moment, and I'll just turn around, and then I'll just start playing and kind of come back to you afterwards. How does that sound?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Perfect. Take your time, as we say. Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, that was really relaxing. Yeah. Your hands even got moist after the, yeah?
Yeah, well, we've been in several episodes talking about my abilities to heal infection in people. And then my hands get a little bit like, not sweaty, but kind of a lotion comes through. And that happened when you started to play the music today. So I don't know if it's about the audience or it's about you. But often if I had that connection and somebody around me has an infection, I tend to take it out through my hands. And I was just showing it to Eric now because they're kind of stickery in a way. But over to the music, it was beautiful, and I really, really love it. So it was amazing. Thank you.
It took us to another place. I was closing my eyes for a bit, and you mentioned you were going to South America and taking in all the sights and sounds and smells, and it was, it was really nice.
I felt it actually a lot in my heart area, in the chakra of the heart. So it was kind of pumping up in a way. So maybe to a higher vibration. It was really nice. So thank you again.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, I think the heart is, such an important part of our presence and our awareness, our spiritual awareness as well, and probably one of the most neglected areas, in terms of giving back to ourselves and nourishing ourselves. I call this musical nourishment because it's one of the easiest ways to nourish ourselves and our heart is through music. And we are in a world now where technology plays such an important part for people. We're all looking for different technologies that will take us to these places faster and more efficiently. But really, the heart is one of the oldest and most powerful technologies that we can utilize. And you don't need anything outside of yourself. It's just all about that conversation, what you can do to nurture it and give back to yourself. So self-care, and especially, if you're doing healing work in this world as well, it's an important part is recharging yourself so that you can give more to others. And so that's why I think music becomes an important vehicle, because we can take it and recharge ourselves. And this just really enhances our life's mission, which is really important on the earth in this time that we're alive.
Wow.
Yeah, that's nice. So I think it's time to round up a little bit. But before we end, is there anything else you would like to add that could be of value to our listeners?
Well, one thing that I would just like to state, because many people say, well, how do I create my own music program? And they think they have to have another skill set to do it. But it's really, if you'd like to create a program that's going to be powerful for you, think of music similarly to how you think of your meals, and think of it as musical nourishment. So when you wake up in the morning, just like you have breakfast, and breakfast breaks the fast of not eating for the evening, think of what song you want to utilize to start your day that's going to break the fast sonically of not hearing a lot of sound throughout your night. What song is going to create your intention for the day? And like I said, it doesn't necessarily have to be relaxing music. Like I have a gratitude playlist that I start my day with that is a combination of like Earth, Wind, and Fire, the song Gratitude, Sly and the Family Stone, Thank You for Letting Me Be Myself, Karen Drucker, Thank You for This Day Spirit, and some softer music that I've created called the Heart Codes. And that puts me in a space of starting my day in gratitude. And then the next part of your day, just like lunch rejuvenates you or energizes you, ask yourself what song will re-energize me or help me relieve stress, whatever it is for you. Where am I now? Where do I want to go? And what piece of music's going to take me there? And a lot of us re-energize ourselves by listening to more up-tempo music or also getting up and dancing. So when we're utilizing music to dance, we're also sharpening our cognitive skills at the same time, and increases our focus. So, and when you're going to sleep at night, I think of that similar to having dessert at the end of your dinner. Something sweet and nurturing that's going to help you process your day. Because ultimately, why so many people experience insomnia is we're going from very fast brainwave states, like we're going from beta brainwaves and we're trying to move to delta, which is without bridging those states. So ultimately, we want to bridge our states and go from our beta brainwaves and scale down to alpha and then theta, where our creativity kind of happens and our subconscious or unconscious mind starts to relax more before we go to sleep. So listening to a calming piece of music, about an hour before bedtime every night will really help you do that. So if you can just plug in those 3 times of your day, however you want to, and create your own unique program, over a 30-day process, you'll watch and see how much more energy you'll have for yourself and for your creations. And you'll be able to transform a lot of that negative energy or challenges that happen in your day utilizing music to do so. So I invite all of you to move forward in that.
Wow, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We really need to listen to music more now. Yeah. Take time, actually. Yeah. Because we take time to run and go to the exercise center, and we need to take time to shift into different music modes as well then. So thank you for very good advice.
Yeah. So just at the end here, if our listeners want to hear more from you or see more of you, where can they find you?
Yeah, BarryGoldsteinMusic.com is my website as well. My music is on Spotify and Apple Music, and I also have a YouTube channel with a lot of sound tools on them that are free as well. And I have upcoming courses and retreats that are planned for this year. So just become part of my tribe and join my email list. And actually, when you do that, you also get some free music downloads as well to get more used to my music. And then you can find out what I'm doing and all the fun things that we're doing with music and sound and vibration.
I'm sure many will stay in touch because this was really nice. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you very much, Barry, for joining us here today. I know I'm inspired.
I'm as well.
Yeah, that's good. And I hope you had a good time as well.
I did. You guys were awesome. So anytime you want to have me back, I would be honored.
Oh, thank you. We'd love to have you back.
Absolutely. Well, okay. Well, thank you for visiting us, and goodbye.
Bye for now.
Ja, Susanne, så satt vi alene her igjen. Var det så gale nervøst du hadde fryktet?
Akkurat nå så synes jeg det er litt verre, for nå begynner jeg å tenke, herlighet, kunne jeg ikke bare la deg snakke? Men jeg blir liksom så ivrig i spørsmålene, og så snakker jeg litt for fort i forhold til min engelskkunnskap og sånn, så jeg får bare stålsette meg og satse på at siden han forstod hva jeg sa, så forstod sikkert lytterne nå.
Ja, og alt dette her tenker jeg er en treningssag. Og med dette så synes jeg faktisk at vi burde kanskje starte en podcast på siden som har litt engelske elementer, så får vi se om vi kan få litt engelsktalende gjester på den.
Ja, det hadde vært kjempegøy. Jeg må bare bli flinkere. Og som sagt, dette er en podcast som heter Uhøytidelig spirituell, og da kan jeg ikke ta meg så høytidelig. Da må det viktigste være faktisk interaksjon med andre mennesker, og ikke det at jeg må forklare mine engelskuttalelser.
Ja. Nei, og når det kommer til Barry, så synes jeg det var veldig spennende. Han var veldig flink å formidle det han hadde på hjertet.
Ja, og jeg kjente meg igjen i så utrolig mye av det han sa, mens han på en måte relaterte alt til musikk da. Tenker jeg, du snakker jo om musikk sånn som jeg snakker om healing. Så det var veldig interessant.
Ja, og det merket jeg når du stilte spørsmål. Er det sånn at du fyller gapet mellom alle tonene? Jeg tror du skulle dette av stolen her. Altså, begge oss to la jo musikkarrieren på hyllen ved blokkfløyte.
Ja,
og så kommer det sånne ting.
Ja. Vi er jo ingen komponister, noen av oss. Men ja, kanskje det litt min usynlige hjelpere da, som kommer med gode spørsmål, ikke vet jeg.
Ja, kanskje hun Aurora var rame på harpe.
Ja, det vet vi ingenting om, altså. Så jeg håper dere lyttere også synes at det har vært utrolig kjekt, altså, for det synes jeg at jeg har lært mye mer, bare av denne lille timen med han.
Ja, og så synes jeg det var beroligende det lille stykket han spilte for oss også. Det var veldig fint. Ja,
det var helt nydelig. Og så synes jeg det var så kult at han sa at han tok en pause fra musikk, at kona var nesten litt sur på han, fordi at han ikke hørte på musikk, og det kan jo jeg relatere til i forhold til ferier og sånn, hvor jeg kobler av det spirituelle.
Ja, og det har vi jo snakket om før også, at spiritualitet også kan gjerne tas inn med i doser. Så.
Det kan det. Vi trenger balanse, og det har vi snakket mye om.
Ja, veldig bra. Ok, kjempe. Da takker vi for i dag. Tusen takk for at du hørte på. Vi håper som alltid at du har lært noe nytt, og at horisonten gjerne har blitt litt videre enn den var før podcasten begynte.
Ha det bra!
Ha det.